Hello, folks. This is a live hangout, and I'm going to invite some more people. This topic today, and I'm about a minute late, but I usually can't ever start on time because I'm thinking of things and then I get delayed trying to set different things up. This topic is about video beer reviewers not answering comments, which has been a pet peeve of mine for about 7 years now. Okay, I'm eating a little salad. And I'm going to drink a little something. Okay. Okay. I'm going to try to set up live comments, but that may not work. Had a little issue with it last time. Okay. I was not aware of video reviews until 2010, around June or July 2010. And I'm thinking it was July. But anyway, you know, over 6 years ago. Now, a lot of these early video reviewers, well, some of them were gone by the time I even started watching, right? Like, they just weren't around. But many of them were, and I would make comments like, oh, I tried that beer, you know, it was good. And they might answer me and say, oh, yeah, did you have trouble finding it, whatever. And it was like interaction, because that's why I was interested in watching them, you know. Hello, folks. Uh-oh. I got it muted. Alive out. Okay. Invite some more people. This time. Oh, I see what the problem is. And I'm about a minute late, but I forgot to get off the other tab. Okay. All right. Okay. So I thought, you know, it's fun. You get to talk to people about beer, whatever. And then on Facebook, we got these little discussion groups like Beer Talk 2017 and all that. So it's fun, you know. And then I started doing my video channel in November 2010, and you say, oh, it was so you could make a lot of money on YouTube and get famous and all that. I didn't really understand about the money part. And secondly, you've heard me talk about this before. In my personal life, there really weren't people I knew. Now, there are today that I've met, but there weren't people I knew that were interested in beer per se. I mean, they were interested in drinking large quantities of the same thing like Bud Light. No problem with that. That's what they like to do. But to like look at different beer brands and the history of it and this company, all that, because I was a history teacher for so many years, no, they just didn't care. So I said, well, the beer videos, the video reviews will give me a chance to just explore that. And sometimes I think maybe doing reviews was a mistake all along. I should have just done videos about brands and talked about the brands and just say, oh, it's good, it's pretty good, or it's bad. Because then when you start giving grades, it becomes a real problem. Like, you know, well, why'd you give that an A minus and then you give this one an A and that one an A plus? And there's a big argument about it. I like to do the grades because I'm thinking it, so I figure I just may as well mention it. Okay. And I'm going to answer these comments that people are writing. So I don't think I do a bad job making the grades, you know, grading the beers. It's a controversy about what people might get offended. You know, it's their personal favorite and they give it an A plus and maybe you gave it a B. That kind of stuff is a little bit of a problem. Okay. But here's the crux of today's topic. Making comments, and I'm not going to name the people right now, but you probably know who they are because you probably made, and I'm thinking maybe it's just me, maybe they don't like me personally or I offended them some kind of way. But some of these people I've never spoken to, so how could that have been the case? But I was looking at video reviews this past week, and I was trying to pay close attention. I was like, they didn't answer my comment from a year ago, whatever. Then I look down, I scroll down and look. They have like 15 comments people made. They didn't answer anybody's comments. Okay, nobody's comments were answered, which to me is a real issue. I mean, it just irks me to no end. You're going to make video reviews. Please like, you know, they'll say, which you might notice, I've never made that statement in any video I've ever produced. But they might say, please like and comment on my videos. Like, oh, of course, like, comment, and of course, subscribe, right? That's always the thing that they beg people to do. Okay, and I don't mind you begging people to subscribe, and I don't mind you begging people to like your video. And I especially don't mind you begging people to make comments, because to me, that's the whole point of what we're doing here. I know it's a hobby. It's not that important. It's not going to change the world. But they'll say, please comment. But they're not going to answer the comment. It's like, why are you asking people? Are you just being polite on air and you're being disingenuous? You're not going to answer. Look, I know it's time consuming. But that's another problem. You want to make comments, but you don't have time to answer. You hear these dogs barking? Okay. I can tell you right now, in over 6 years of doing video reviews, and you know I do an incessant amount. All right, okay, I know. Somebody asked me this morning, are you starting to drink more than normal? I said, no, I just, I drank the same amount, of 22 to 24 beers a week. I just had, people gave me all these beers in the last week and a half. I mean, they literally sent me all these beers in the mail. In the last 2 months, I've gotten 12, 6, 18, 28. It's like 33 beers, you know, and I'm going to research the beer before I review it, and I want to take my time. So, and not to mention all the ones I bought, so it's overwhelming, all right? So no, that was funny that he made the comment. So let me start drinking right now. A fine red wine. I'm not going to show it on camera. Whoops. Whoops. I made a mistake and I showed it on camera. Oh, well. Just pretend it's Gallo signature. And I paid $33 at Mathern's for it. You say, that's Kool-Aid. Doesn't matter. All right. Ooh, how sweet it is, as Jackie Gleason would say. Pretty sure this wasn't what was in that mug. All right, all right. So you make the comments. They never answer. Now, some of them will answer, but it's such a short, it's like they're blowing you off. And I don't like that. That's bad, too. The out of hand ignoring people is insulting. But then if you make a well thought out comment and then they say, thanks, cheers, which I interpret as thanks, you know, get lost. It's a problem for me. It's a real problem, because I answer every morning and I'll be typing. And sometimes I'll be in a rush and I'll type a comment and I'll be like, that wasn't a good comment. That wasn't a good response. It was, to me, I feel like I'm blowing the person off. So I'll go back and I'll edit it and I'll say, or I'll delete it and I'll say, no, no, no. I always want to give people good responses. Okay. I'm not bragging on me. I'm just saying I'm doing what other people should be doing. Let's see what the people are saying. Raining on your parade. There are no rules when it comes to making beer reviews. I agree with that. A lot of beer reviews have expectations of other reviewers. I'm just glad they make it a video. If they don't want to respond back, that is their right. Well, it's their right. I never recommend anybody doing anything they don't want to do. They don't have to respond. It just irks me, especially when they are asking people to comment. As for the reviewers that respond back, it just makes you look that much more friendly. And as for you, Jay, I think you could be a bit more in depth with your responses. Yeah, I probably need to work on that. I'll try to make good responses, but sometimes raining on your parade, Now you say, but you get a lot of comments, so it becomes a job. It's not a job. It takes a while. What's the point in responding to Bucky75 or whatever his channel name is? Well, I always usually tell Bucky the same thing, because he'll say, you did a good job with this video, and I'll say, thanks, Bucky, because I mean, sometimes I give short responses because I can't think of anything else to say. I don't want to just make up stuff. A lot of times I'll just say, thank you for watching. I appreciate you watching, stuff like that. And I do appreciate people watching. My issue is, now Brandon Dvorak says, my issue is some beer reviewers comment aren't like craft snobbery. I'm not sure what you mean. Eric Lyons fan says, Greg's beer reviews are notorious for not responding back to comments. Yeah. Rod J says, like, comment, subscribe is basic training. That's right. I used to do it, but I stopped as well. I never felt comfortable doing that. Personally, I just felt like, here's the video. If you want to watch it, you'll watch it. If you like it, you'll put a thumbs up. If you want to subscribe to my channel, you'll do it. I subscribe to lots of people's channels because I want to. I don't need, you know, they don't have to tell me that, because I mean, I can see it says subscribe in red. I just press the button. So I just felt like it was like trying to pull a crowd or something. I always try to, now Dean's, you could join me, Dean, if you want to link. Let me put a link on this British, I think there's some more British guys on Council of Inebriated Beer Critics, I think. And then, yeah, and then you can, Dean, you're there. I'll put the link, and then you can link other people if they want to join this. Most people might think, I don't care. I do care about it, though. All right, so yeah, I did those tutorials too, Raj. I always try and reply back, admittedly late sometimes, but that's life getting in the way. Now, you know, like Albino Rana said, he really only has time to respond on Thursdays, but he always responds. Sometimes it's a while after, but he always responds. It kind of makes me feel good when people respond. Same Dean, bingo Dean, Eric says. Dean says, hi, Rod. And Eric, how's the UK treating you? I think my favorite thing about Jay's approach, Camo says, is not only does he almost always comment back. No, I always comment back. The only time I wouldn't comment back is if I somehow didn't see the comment, which there is some little structural problems there. Sometimes you don't see the comments. Or people have their settings in such a way, and this is a problem not on my end, they have their Google Plus settings to where you can't respond. It won't take it. I can't do anything about that. They'll let you give them it'll let you give their comments a thumb up. But you can't literally, it won't let you type and post a comment. Rajay said, what's up, Dean? My beer brother from across the pond. Michael LaFlemme says, hey, Ron. Hey, Michael. Shout out Matherns. All right, Matherns. I love to shop at Matherns. I bought some Limburger cheese there the other day. Jeeping Foodie says, I don't understand how to send private messages on the back end of someone's channel. I see no way of doing it. Well, what you do is you go to their channel and it's a section that says about. And if you hit about, you click there, it should say send a private message. That's how I always do it. If they have it set up where they'll allow it, I think you have to go to their channel site, Jeeping. Yes, me too. It is their right. It's their right. Oh, you work at Matherns in Metairie. They don't have a Matherns in Metairie unless they opened it yesterday and no one was told. Camel says, it's sometimes frustrating when a small channel with not many viewers or subscribers doesn't respond when I feel like I've supported them by taking the time to watch and comment. Exactly. I mean, that's how I feel. It's like, what's going on here? I try to support all the beer reviewers. Me, I try to support them all. And then when you're getting the screw off, it's insulting. I think it can get tougher as you possibly become more popular. It's true. Although I usually have a harder time keeping up with on Twitter more so than YouTube, Rod J says. I meant mean comments like beer snobs. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Like you're watching their channel and you're trying to make good comments and they're telling you, hey, you idiot. I'm Matherns in Metairie. Now, Michael, I'm not trying to be ugly. What street is that on? Mathern's? It's part of the Mathern's chain that has the stores in Baton Rouge and Paulina. Seems to me I would have heard about this. Let me look up Mathern's website. Hold on, people. Mathern's Market. If I'm wrong, I'll eat my words. I always eat my words if I'm wrong. Welcome to Mathern's Market. Mardi Gras favorites. Why did these dogs have to? Okay. Locations. Baton Rouge, downtown Baton Rouge, Laplace, and Paulina. Must be a different company. Okay. They don't have it listed on their website, Michael. Those dogs are going nuts in the background. Yeah, I think it's that dog with the big ears. It's a little small dog, but she can make the loudest noise. She almost looks like a coyote, but they do have coyotes around here. Maybe one of the local domestic dogs bred with a coyote. That sounds crazy, but if you saw this dog, you might start to agree with me. I know the coyotes come and they kill. I saw they had torn a rabbit apart on this street. There's blood on the street. Are those comics in the stacks to your right? Yes. Matthew Staniford says, hey, Jay. Hey, Matthew. All right. So now. Back to the complaint. Ain't no construction. That's dogs, Rajay. It's dogs. And I know which dog it is. That little whippersnapper. Okay, so here's the complaint. Now that's construction because that's his compressor. He's doing some work on his back porch, doing beautiful work too. This guy can do great work. Man, it's unbelievable. Okay, but that's another story. He works in the French Quarter these days, reconstructing these old buildings. You make comments and you get they're telling you, hey, kiss off. That's the way I feel, and I think it's a terrible insult. And I could name all these people, right? But you know who they are. I mean, I don't have to train you on this or advise you on this. You can just look. You're watching my video. You probably watch a lot of beer reviews, and you make comments, and the people basically tell you screw up. So it's just rude and ugly. Now you say they have the right to do that. Well, of course, people have a right to be rude and ugly. No one's contesting that point. Everyone has the right, but should they do it? Just because they have the right, they shouldn't do it. In my opinion, that's bad form. Bad form. And I was talking about this about a week ago when I was doing a recorded video. I said, I think I'm going to make, or it might have been one of my hangouts, might have been both, one of my hangouts. I said, I think I'm going to make a hangout video fussing about beer reviewers who do not answer comments. But some of them will pay that money to pull subscribers. That's another dark secret. I don't care. Because I don't care about that number, subscriber number. I just don't. It's nice. I'm not saying that. And I appreciate people subscribing to my channel because they can see all my videos. So of course you appreciate that. But I'm talking about people that are paying a service. This was actually done. And I've talked to one and he admitted it to me. And I don't mind necessarily. They're paying a service to pull a crowd. They say, I have so many subscribers. Well, of course, because you paid for them. But if you look at their ratio of viewers per video to the number of subscribers, in most cases, it's not particularly impressive. So they've pulled a crowd, but they haven't pulled a viewing crowd. But that's fine. I'm not complaining about that. I would only complain about that in this sense. If you paid to pull a crowd, in other words, you paid for subscribers and then you bragged about how many you had, that's a problem. That's a problem. And I'm not going to accuse the Beatles right now, but you know, that's like in 1964, the Beatles came to New York City, early 64, and there was this huge crowd of girls at the airport, and they're screaming. And the Beatles themselves said, oh, we couldn't believe we had this many fans in America, considering that really, at that point, not too many people had heard of the Beatles. Well, as it turns out, it was a paid crowd. These girls were paid to be on the roof of the airport, you know, the building, screaming and holding signs. And that was smart in a way, because you gin up a crowd and you create this Beatlemania. And they had planted people in the crowd screaming. That's an old practice. They had girls planted in the crowd to scream and create the hysteria. Okay, so it was not an organic explosion of interest in the Beatles. It was a very carefully cultivated phenomenon. But that's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about pulling a crowd. And I don't care if you pull a crowd. You have a right to do that. I have a little problem when you brag about the crowd you have when you paid for it. That's all I'm talking about. All right, so let's see. Okay, let's see what the other commentators say. Eric, you can join. Eric Alliance fan. Now, Michael says, could I send you a beer to review from Chicago? I mean, you could, but I always discourage people from sending me beer because it's a big expense, and I'm so flooded with beer at these stores here. I mean, there's a million beers, right? So we could just review beer all the time. Every day, review a new beer, review a new beer, review a new beer, review a new beer, like, right? Like spinning a wheel. I could just spin a wheel, like a monk spinning a prayer wheel. But I could go to Mathern's, just that one store, and do one beer review a day. Let's say 6 days a week. Let's say we skip Monday. One a day, and it would never run out. So that's why I'm always discouraging people from sending beer. Some people insist, but I discourage it. Do you ever, Eric says, do you ever get comments from actual beer companies? Or do they just not care? Yes, I do get comments, and they do care, I think. I ask because no beer companies have reached out to me. Curious is all. I'll tell you 2 examples, and there's others. Here's 2 examples. That is something, that stuff. I did a video years ago about Red Hook. I think it was ESB, but it might have been another Red Hook beer, okay? And I said that it was owned by Anheuser-Busch. I said Anheuser-Busch owns, and InBev owns Red Hook Brewing, Craft Brewers Alliance. I mean, it might have been less than 24 hours. I got an email response from Red Hook saying, it was a comment, public comment, and that was the way to do it. You know, just say it. Public comment on my video. You're wrong. We are not owned by Anheuser-Busch. They have a 33% equity agreement with us that helps us with distribution and blah, blah. She checked me, and I apologized to her, and I said, look, I'm going to make another Red Hook. I had another ESB, a Red Hook beer, not an ESB, but one of their beers coming up, and I'm going to correct this one. I did another follow-up video for another one of their brands very soon after that. I admitted I was wrong. And then, of course, my friend Paul, who's an attorney, said, he's a corporate attorney. He said, you should have asked them, though, He said, you should ask them who was on the board of their directors and would they be willing to give a list of their the member of their board of directors. But anyway, I did another video, Eric, where this was bad information from a viewer and I didn't check. That was my fault being sloppy. He said, did you hear that they're getting rid of Lone Star beer? I couldn't believe it. I said, they're getting rid of Lone Star. Oh yeah. The company wrote to me and told me, I wrote an email because, you know, Pabst is very responsive. I said, I find that hard to believe. It seems incredible, you know. No, he kept insisting. Then he sent me the letter and I was sloppy. I don't know. I was just being sloppy. I wasn't checking my stuff. So I very stupidly, and I got the letter and I didn't read it carefully or as careful because the letter really was kind of poorly written to him. And even me not looking carefully, it seemed like they really did get rid of it. So I made a video, Lone Star beer discontinued. Oh, so embarrassed. I mean, within hours, I don't know, I mean like 6 hours. Here I get an email from Lone Star, in other words, Pabst Brewing Company. Did you just make a, I was mortified. Did you just make a video saying that, our beer had been discontinued? I said, well, yeah. And then I just got dressed down and she said, no, it was Lone Star Bach that got discontinued. That beer did not do well. We cut it out. Not Lone Star. We're not discontinuing that. Oh, I felt so bad. I immediately made a follow-up video saying I was wrong. It's not being discontinued. And I was so embarrassed. But then the lady, they were nice. Pabst is a cool company. They were like, well, that's all right. It's just a mistake. They said, look, the bottle you showed is the former label. And we're going to send you something. And they already had my address because I had talked to them before. And so they sent me, not a lawsuit, they sent me a box full of the new Lone Star Light bottle and the new Lone Star Light regular beer, a beautiful Lone Star Light, and then on the other side, Lone Star beer, tumbler glass, a bunch of Lone Star stickers, Lone Star Light cap, a Lone Star cap. And they were like, oh no, we love your videos, you know. So the answer is, yeah, do the companies respond? They do. And in fact, do they watch the videos? Obviously they do, because they have contacted me numerous times and say, would you like to review Paul Honor? Would you like to review Paul Honor? Would you like to review Fuller's London Pride or Vintage Ale? That was what it was. Would you like to review this and that beer? They'll contact me. And I'll say, well, yeah. So, oh, they watch. Now, I'd watch if I was a brewer, see what people were saying about my beer, and if they were making mistakes about, not the taste, obviously that's their opinion. If they were making mistakes about the product, I would tell them, no, that's not right. We don't use that type of hop. We use this type of hop. A few local here in Cincinnati have as well, but not from watching, but just knowing I do reviews. Okay. Michael Flem says he'll be in this town next week. Are you available to do a joint review? Well, I'll be available online. You could join us online. It's too hard to set up these one-on-one things, but if you join me online, we're doing Cat's Away IPA on Wednesday night at 6:30. So you can come. We say contact me on Google Plus, and we can set that up. I've had many people join. A lot of them don't last, but they join and see what it's like to do a hangout. Rajay says they have sent me an email, and their social media people have also contacted me. That's good. Raining on your parade. I like the reviewers who just respond to a few of their favorite comments and do an in-depth response. And they might skip over a few of your comments, but they will eventually get to one of yours. I just don't feel comfortable skipping people's comments. I mean, unless they're just stupid comments like, hey, you know, like they'll say, hey, faggot, why don't you kill yourself? Stuff like that. Well, you know, you just delete those and block the people. Or they might incessantly ask the same question, like, do you prefer a 24-ounce Bud Light or over an 18-ounce bottle of Bud Light? Like that kind of stuff. It's like you can't just answer that because there's no sense to it. And I meant they will eventually answer one of yours, right? But Red Hook is not craft brewery by definition and accepted standards. Ah, but Rajay, whose definition? Oh, the Brewers Association, right? Isn't that what they call it? BA? And accepted standards. Let's think about that for a minute. Red Hook, it was always considered a craft beer. It was a craft beer company. Then Anheuser-Busch got a 33% equity agreement with them, and then all of a sudden it wasn't a craft beer. What changed with the recipe of Red Hook ESB? Not a thing, nor with any of their other beers. So those standards, those definitions, first of all, and it's a nebulous definition. It has no real legal meaning. Craft beer has no legal meaning. That's why when the guy tried to sue Blue Moon, because he said he got damaged, like it was a tort. He was damaged because he bought Blue Moon and he thought it was a craft beer. Yeah, I bet. And then he said he was so shocked when he found out it was owned by Coors Brewing Company. Well, when they went to court, the judge said, well, craft beer is not it's a dictionary term, and that isn't very clear. Secondly, it's not a legal term. So you really have no standing. And how can you say you were damaged? You know, basically they were saying, you know, your case has no validity. Now you said accepted standards. What standards? They are accepted, but they change. You can only make this much beer per year. Oh, well, oh wait, Samuel Adams is about to exceed that limit. Okay, well, you can make this much beer a year. You're still craft. Okay, you can't use adjuncts. Oh, no. You can't use corn or rice adjunct. That's absolutely unacceptable. But then people that know beer, you know, did research and said, well, but there's this huge list of acceptable craft beers, blah, 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 and the history of adjuncts, corn and rice. And, you know, like, you know, plus your standard is completely arbitrary, blah, blah, blah. And plus Yuengling wants to be considered a craft beer. Pay no mind to that man behind the curtain. You can use adjuncts, in fact. Oh, you can use corn, rice, corn syrup, dextrose, maltose. So all of a sudden, you could use adjuncts. So what I'm saying to you, Rob J, is that these definitions and accepted standards seem to change like the weather. Dean says, Fuller's 1845 is a fantastic brew. I would 100% without any qualifications agree with that. It's a fabulous beer. Maybe the best beer they make. Yes, it is clean. I really like that beer, says Eric, a Lions fan. Raining on Your Praise says, if you owned YouTube, haha, I wish I did, would you make it a law, you mean a regulation within YouTube, that reviewers have to answer comments or lose your channel? No, I would not. That's their problem. They could make a channel, never answer a single comment. They could be a member in good standing. They would just have me, Louisiana Beer Reviews, calling them out. Rajay says, yes, Craft Brewers Association. Not saying I agree, but many seem to agree with that. That's true. Goose Island is the same way, right? It's not craft because it's made by Anheuser-Busch. Yeah, I know. You know what? I like Goose IPA, and I'm not going to change. It's like Corona. I said in a video I made with Corona, I said, man, this is a beer I used to really like before I realized I was not supposed to like it. I would lose my standing in the beer drinking community. Guess what? I'm not looking to have any kind of standing in the beer drinking community. The only standing I'm looking to have is for me to drink whatever I feel like drinking on a particular or given day. This is honest. I'm telling you, I am not trying to build street credibility. Rajay says, yes, Craft Brewers Associate. Oh, Rajay says, you are right. They did change in the good use of Samuel Adams, which was the case, going from 2 million to 6 million. That's what I mean, arbitrary. No doubt on the changes, whether or underwear. Laugh out loud. Raining on the Praise says, you're the man. Cheers. I assume he's saying that to Rajay, not to me. I don't know. I am a man. I don't think I'm the man. Dean says, I suppose the same could be made with Ballast Point. Oh, yeah. Eric says, well, the dog seems to have calmed down. Yeah, you know, whoever was walking down the street probably kept walking. We have a problem, and I think most towns have this problem with people that do not keep their dogs on a leash or penned in. So they roam about. I don't necessarily mind that on that street because that keeps people out of the neighborhood. They're like, I'm not going down that street. They got those two big black dogs. And I told the guy, I'm like, yeah, but those dogs are about 15 years old and they're like quasi-crippled. They really could not bite you even if they wanted to. But people see those two huge black dogs and they just exit the neighborhood. So that's always good. Dean says, oh, Rajay says, Dean, yes, some are criticizing Balance Point as well. Raining Parade says, to you. Oh, to me, Ronald J, my middle initial J, Terrio. Oh, thank you. I like to be the man. Although after reviewing Wild Irish Rose, a lot of people's commentary might be, no, you're the idiot. Hey, you know, my attitude about that was, it exists. It's a product. I mean, if I would have looked at the label and it would have said flavored wine product, I would not have bought it. Okay, but I looked at the label and it said red, and then right below it said 100% grape wine. And then I looked at the Constellation Brands website and it seemed legit. I mean, you might say it's not legit. It's Wild Irish Rose. You know, people buy it, they drink it, they love it, they live under a bridge. But you know, I wouldn't have reviewed Carlo Rossi Sweet Red, because right below it says red wine with natural flavors added. I would not have bought that, would not have purchased that. Although that kind of like is an asinine argument, because think about how many beers I reviewed that have flavorings: chocolate, you know, cocoa nibs, orange peel. I mean, isn't that the same principle? So that's sort of like a incoherent defense of what I buy or not buy. But my father gave me that huge 4-liter jug of Carlo Rossi Sweet Red. He said, well, I bought it, I started drinking it, and then I was like, nah, I don't want to go back there again. There, meaning where he left, the place he left in January 2003. He says it was December 2002, but I distinctly remember January 2003. Regardless, he gave up drinking then because he would drink a single Coors Light and run a fever. He got really scared. He was like, wow, I drank one Coors Light, 58 years old, and I ran a fever. That is a sign that I don't need to drink alcohol anymore. And I was like, yeah, because you drank enough beer between 1960, when you were 16 years old, and 1980, let's say, to keep Schlitz in business. Just you alone, you could have kept Schlitz from getting bought out by Stroh's in 1982. And he admitted that. He said, well, I just drank beer as a drug for the effects. I didn't like the taste. I said, so in other words, you used beer as a drug. He said, exactly. And my grandmother said, why do you say that? Don't say that. It sounds terrible. He said, yeah, but it's the truth. So, you know, all right. So anyway, I drank that, and it was fine. I mean, I reviewed it. Okay, I reviewed it. But what I was trying to say is I would not have bought it if I had seen that. So there's sort of like an inconsistency in my reviews. Like, I'll drink beers with additives and do reviews, serious reviews, you know, but then I won't buy, oh, I can't buy wine because it has natural flavors added. And I can't buy this whiskey because it has natural flavors added. So it's sort of a little bit of a, it is an inconsistency. It's not a little inconsistency. Let's see what the people say. Who is your favorite beer reviewer? Eric says. You're asking me? Well, that is a question I have never thought about. I have never asked myself who is my favorite beer reviewer. I used to like Chad's beer reviews, but one time in 2011, I made a comment on his video. He did a video review for Milwaukee's Best. And he said, I'm going to review a garbage beer. And I said, I take offense when you say you're going to review a beer and you call it garbage before you ever taste it. And I said, I don't think that's really a true review. You're biased from the start. And he said, you must be on your period. I'm going to go buy you a tampon. And he immediately unsubscribed to my channel. So I kind of like that kind of turned me off to his channel, really, because I thought my comment was valid. But anyway, who's my favorite beer reviewer? I don't have one. It's like beer. I drink everything, you know. So people ask me that constantly, what's your favorite beer? I don't have a favorite beer. I'm always drinking, jumping from brand to brand. I like Rajay. I like Eric, a Lions fan. I used to like Chad's beer reviews. I watch all of Greg's beer reviews. I still make comments. I don't get a response. If I do, it gets my feelings hurt. But I still watch them. Guys, I watch everybody. I literally watch, well, there's a few I don't watch because I think their reviews are horrible. Like, they don't talk about the beer. They make a 1 hour video, literally a 1 hour video, and they do not talk about the beer, but for 10 minutes. I'm like, why am I watching this? Those kind of situations. But I mean, I watch everybody's reviews, even the ones I don't agree with. The ones I think do a bad job, I still watch. I want to see what they say. You know, I may not make a comment, but I watch. Raining on Your Parade says, every man hits the skids once in a while. Wild Irish Rose. That ought to be the tagline. It ought to say on this bottle, Richard's Wild Irish Rose Red. Everyone hits the skids once in a while. Or they could say it's $3.49 a bottle at Winn-Dixie, and you don't have, or you know, it's $3.49 a bottle at Winn-Dixie, and you're not you're not necessarily particular in what you drink. Okay, well, I mean, that's a one-time thing. Don't worry. You're not going to see that again, I don't think. Unless Jean-Pierre insisted on doing a joint review, I'd probably do it. But otherwise, I wouldn't. Okay. Nothing wrong with trying what you want. Right. I didn't want this. I just went over there and said, well, let's get a little cray-cray. Jamie Freeman says, hey, Ron, have you managed to get your hands on Kilkenny Irish Cream yet? No, I have not. It drives me crazy. I hear about Kilkenny every year, and I never get it. Surprising it's not stocked in Louisiana. It's all over the place in Canada. It sure ain't here. Dean says, having a Lost Abbey 10 Commandments at the moment. Yeah, I got a feeling that Lost Abbey 10 Commandments is somewhat better than Richard's Wild Irish. What's it called? Oh yeah, Wild Irish Rose. Well, I could drink more. All right. Raining on Your Parade says, could be a myth, but I hear that when they do an oh, it could be a myth, but I hear that when they oh, I'll try to say this without it could be a myth, but I hear that when they do an autopsy on a guy that drinks MD 2020, Mogan David 2020, or Wild Irish Rose, their insides turn to plastic. That's probably not a myth. Dean says, as for you guys over there, for me, it's Jay, Rod, Eric, and Jerry Ford. Thanks, Dean. I watch your beer reviews all the time. Eric says, you don't have to say that just because we're on here, Dean. Laugh out loud. Dean said, ha, ha, ha. Rajay says, thanks, Dean, and you are a fave as well as all mentioned. Laugh out loud. Eric, I thought the same too, but you guys are good in my opinion. Kick and Wing says, you're not a tequila fan, Ron? I don't think I've ever tried tequila. So I can't say I'm not a fan, I just haven't tried it. If you saw my cabinet with all the brandy and gin and whiskey in there, you would either be impressed or try to call a 1-800 number for me. Dean says, tell the truth, shame the devil. Do both. Well, I guess if you tell the truth, all right. Rajay says meant to put a something and not a laughing fat finger small keyboard. Oh yeah. Michael says I'm drinking some Pabst Genuine Draft right now. Found a pack in an old backstock pallet at the local gas station. You believe that? No, I do not believe that, since it was discontinued around 1998. Good try, Michael. But you fail. And I'm pretty sure I'm not going to see you on our hangout Wednesday night when we review Cats Away IPA from Walmart. Brewed in Rochester by Genesee Brewing, North American Breweries, and handled and developed and distributed, so to speak, not distributed, but handled and developed by WX, the Winery Exchange. You got me, Michael says. I got you when you said you worked at Mathern's and Metairie. Anyway, oh well, it's time for lunch. I have something that's going to involve, you know what it's going to involve: sausage, cheese, yellow onions, and Dave's Insanity sauce. And the rest of this, they say it's a red wine. Yeah, it's more like rosé, but why nitpick when you're making Richard's wild, how you say, wild Irish lows, loud Irish lows. Hey, but you know what? Say what you will about this. It's a legend. It's been on the market for over 60 years. And secondly, it's way better than Hartley brandy. You don't know bad. People say you don't drink good stuff. You drink bad things. Oh, no. You don't know bad until you drink Hartley brandy. And I saw Hartley apple brandy at Winn-Dixie the other day, apple flavored brandy, and I said, no, I don't think so. Eric Alliance fan said, would like to see more reviews with your daughter for just another opinion. That could happen behind Chili's. Yeah, I don't think we'll go behind Chili's and review a beer, but we might go to Chili's and review a beer. Anyway, getting back to planet Earth. Thanks, people, for watching this video production. And did I really need to make a very long video to rant and rave about people not making video comments? No, I did not. But that is almost 7 years of pent-up anger over being frustrated by people not responding to video commentary. I'm going to keep. Thank you, brother, says Michael. Thank you, brother, I think. But we'll see you Wednesday night at 6:30 Central Time. That is almost 7 years of pent-up anger by people not giving good responses to comments. So you keep making those comments, and I'm going to keep responding, God willing. Thank you, folks. Have a great weekend. Be safe. Be sound, and go Southeastern Lions. Beat UNO. Haha, that won't happen. University of New Orleans is going to kill Southeastern today. Well, that's my prediction anyway. Thanks, people.